الجنتلمان ديف مرزوق. ارحب بيك ديف. او نقول ماجد مرزوق،
الاثنين كويسين.
ازيك النهارده؟
مساء الخير، ازيك يا اسراء؟ انا سعيد جدا ان انا معاكي النهارده نتناقش واحكي لك قصه حياتي وان شاء الله تبقى a very good episode.
أكيد إن شاء الله. مبسوطة جدا النهاردة، مش بس عشان أنا اتعرفت على شخصية مميزة زيك يا ديف بس أو ماجد، أنا متلخبطة ما بين الاتنين وهنحكي للمشاهدين قصة الاسم دي، بس كمان عشان دي أول حلقة إحنا بنستضيف زي ما بنقول السكند جنريشن ايجيبشن امريكان، ودي حاجة إحنا مهتمين جدا بيها، فكرة الايدنتيتي، وإنه إزاي يعني باباك ووالدتك ووالدك الله يرحمهم قدروا يعملوا انستيلينج للايجيبشن فاليوز فيك، لأنه أنت جيت هنا وأنت عندك 10 سنين على هواي،
11-12 سنة
11-12 سنة، فصغير، فتعتبر يعني أمريكاني جدا. فأنا دايما لما ببص على قصتك كده وبقالنا أسبوعين بندردش مع بعض بقول يا ريت كل ولادنا يبقوا زي ديف مرزوق. فعايزة نرجع all the way بقى لشوية حياتك في مصر، وبعدين نقلتك لهواي، وبعدين القصة الطويلة جدا جدا اللي حابة أن كل الناس تسمعها مننا. فنبتدي من الطفولة.
تمام. شوفي، بالنسبة للاسم ديف أو ماجد، أنا طبعا كل أصدقائي العرب المصريين واللبنانيين والسوريين كل العرب بيندهوا لي ماجد، وكل أصحابي الأمريكان بيندهوا لي ديف، والأولاد بيندهوا لي ديف. الاسم ده هو جه ازاي؟ أنا هقول لك. إحنا أول ما جينا أمريكا هاجرنا في سنة 1969. أوكي. كان عندي حوالي 12 سنة بالظبط. فأول ما جينا الاسم ماجد كان صعب شوية للأمريكان إن هم يفهموا يعني إيه ماجد، وكان في إشكال يعني very specific في الاسم ده هو. أنت عارفة الكلمة ماجد بالإنجليزي اللي هي الدودة. كأطفال طبعا في السن التينيج ييرز ده هو كان في دايما lots of bullying على الاسم ده هو. المهم، فجارتنا أول جارة لينا في أمريكا ومن أعز أصدقائنا لحد دلوقتي لسه أصدقاء معاهم، الليبهرتس، باب وكوني ليبهرتس وأولادهم. كوني بالذات بصت لي كده مرة وقالت لي أنت كده شكلك ديف، أنا هسميك ديف. قلت لها أوكي. فمن يومها حكاية ديف ده هي قعدت معايا. بس حاليا طبعا بعد ما خدنا الجنسية الأوفيشال نيم بقى ديف ماجد مرزوق. واخد بالك؟
تفتكر انه دلوقتي الكلام ده كان في السينات، تفتكر دلوقتي الاجيال الجديده اللي بتيجي بتهاجر لامريكا محتاجه تعمل ده؟
شوفي، احنا يعني حتى بالنسبه لي انا لما خلفت اولادي حاولنا نختار اسماء اللي هي تبقى ممكن تمشي في التو كلتشرز، في الاثنين. فعندي ساره وعندي امير is also a very common name، وعندي ادم، وعندي ياسمين. فالاسماء now is very very easy ان الامريكان to accept. وفعلا انا ملاحظ ان المهاجرين في السنين القريبه اللي فاتت دهيت ما بيغيروش الاسماء، which is good، لان you should always hold on to the original culture.
ده أنا بحس كمان إنه الأمريكان نفسهم حتى السكند ثيرد اند فورث جنريشنز بالعكس بيقول لك قول لي بالظبط أقول اسمك إزاي. يعني أنا لما بطلع مثلا محاضرة أو حتى في الشغل لازم قبلها حد يجي يقول لي أقول اسمك إزاي.
بالظبط.
إسراء تتنطق إزاي، ويعني إيه، وليه في مثلا تو إيز في الآخر. أنا حاسة إنه حتى كسوسايتي بالذات، إن إحنا اتكلمنا كتير قوي في فكرة الدايفرسيتي اكويتي اند انكلوجن، وقد إيه الناس فعلا كمجتمع أمريكي اللي هو ميلتينج بوت مع ناس كتيرة جدا من كل أنحاء البلاد والديانات والعالم. بالعكس في مجهود كبير قوي مبذول من كل الانستتيوشنز إنه لا، let's accept و let's honor الكالتشرز بتاعت الناس يعني.
بالظبط. بالظبط. أنا فعلا موافق معاكي في النقطة دهيت. أمريكا one of the biggest strength اللي أنا لقيته في أمريكا إن هي فعلا it is a melting pot. So many different cultures have come together to create the American culture. واخد بالك؟ that does not mean in any one culture should lose its original identity, its roots. واخد بالك؟ وبيحتفظوا بيها. in my mind that diversity is actually a point of strength. واخد بالك يعني دي ممكن تقولي عليها a point of strength rather than a weakness. واخد بالك. And I encourage everybody طبعا to hold on to these original values and the culture that they came from.
بس افتكر كده اليوم، اول يوم لما والدك قرر ان هو يجي امريكا وجابكوا على هواي، يعني فيش حته احلى من كده في العالم.
لا سوري، احنا اول ما جينا في 1969 جينا على ستيرلينج بارك فيرجينيا.
اوكي.
واخد بالك، انا هقول لك القصه. في 69 كان في big wave of immigration من مصر لامريكا، والوالد كان بيشتغل في شركة اسمها TWA Trans World Airlines. دي كانت من أكبر شركة الطيران العالمية. واخد بالك. فلما جات له الفرصة إنه يهاجر لأمريكا، طبعا فكر هل يسيب مصر ويجي يجازف ويبتدي حياة جديدة في أمريكا ولا لأ. كان هو وماما، وكان أنا وثلاث إخواتي الأربعة. it was a big decision for him. وأيامها جمال عبد الناصر كان مطلع قانون إن اللي عايز يهاجر، اللي هيسيب مصر يطلع، بس مش من أكتر من $250 في جيبه. واخد بالك. فهو كان بيشتغل في TWA ده هي كانت شركة أمريكانية، شركة طيران أمريكانية. أصدقائه اللي هناك اللي كان بيشتغل معاهم الأمريكان encouraged him إنه هو ممكن يروح لأمريكا ويبتدي حياة جديدة. and they advised him and it would be more advantageous للأولاد بالذات من ناحية better education, better future and so on. المهم فخد القرار إنه هو هيهاجر. فجينا في 1969 وأول حتة نزلنا فيها كانت ستيرلينج بارك فيرجينيا دالاس ايربورت. بعديها بسنة 1970 جات له الفرصة إنه ياخد شغلانة اترقى one or couple of grades higher في هاواي. فسبنا فيرجينيا ورحنا لهاواي، وأنا دخلت الميدل سكول والهاي سكول كانت في هاواي.
طب حياة بقى ديف التينيجر في هاواي، مفيش أحلى من كده يعني. هاي سكول في هاواي متهيألي everybody should be jealous. بس والسيرفينج كولتشر، وطبعا يعني جنة من يعني من أماكن أحلى.
قلتيها بالظبط مظبوط، لأن to me فعلا هاواي is paradise on earth. كانت من أجمل المناطق اللي أنا عشت فيها وسافرت لها كذا مرة. أنا سافرت كتير. لكن هاواي definitely is probably من أحلى الأماكن اللي شفتها في حياتي. والحياة هناك، الحياة الهادية، الحياة بتاعت الآيلاند. yes الهاي سكول في هاواي was a dream. طبعا الناس اللي بيحبوا السيرفينج، الناس اللي بيحبوا البيتشز والفيشنج وسو on. فدي كانت يعني أيام جميلة جدا وذكريات جميلة جدا، ولحد دلوقتي مش هقدر أنساها.
بس أنت برضو على قد كان كل ده موجود قدامك، أنت بقى كنت مهموم جدا بفكرة الميدل إيست والوطن العربي واللي حاصل في فلسطين واللي حاصل في البلد. يعني كان بقى طبعا وقتها برضو حروب وحاجات حاصلة كتير جدا، وكان قلبك برضو مع مصر ومع الميدل إيست، وقررت أن أنت تدخل speech and debate وتبتدي تفهم you got very interested في البوليتكس.
شوفي أنا هقول لك، هو في السوشيال ساينس تيتشر بتاعي في الهاي سكول كان اسمه مستر زامورا. مستر زامورا was probably أكتر واحد influenced me to really focus على ال history and political science. Okay. كنا بندرس طبعا ال current events of course طبعا ما بين ال 70s وال 73 there was lots of things happening in the Middle East. I began to study a lot and read a lot about the region. ومن أيامها كنت بعمل lectures كتيرة. I was invited to lots of lecture halls في University of Hawaii، وأنا في الهاي سكول كنت بلكشر في University of Hawaii. وفي نفس الوقت كنت بروح ل different high schools وأعمل lectures للstudents هناك. والفكرة اللي أنا كنت بقدمها كانت دايما how to create peace، يعني إيه اللي نقدر نعمله علشان نcreate peace in this hostile region. كده بالك. وفكرتي كانت دايما اللي هي two state solutions. اوكي. بالنسبة للفكرة ديت يعني أنا في نظري ان كان خطأ ان الناس تقول لا احنا هنمسح اسرائيل دهيت من على وش الارض، وفي نفس الوقت طبعا خطأ ان احنا ننسى حقوق الفلسطينيين. ف I was looking how to create a two-state solution that would prosper, that would be peaceful and create better living للاتنين. فمن هنا ابتديت أفوكس كتير على ال political science, and I did a lot of reading, and I pursued political science in my universities.
بس لما رحت الجامعة على قد ما أنت كنت حابب جدا البوليتيكال ساينس، دخلت الجامعة في ميسيسيبي لأنه كان أخوك كمان الكبير هناك، فحبيت إن أنت تبقى معاه. بس دخلت undeclared، وده undeclared بقى ده بالنسبة لأي حد ولاده داخلين الجامعة دلوقتي أو في الجامعة ويجي حد من دول يقول لك أنا عايز أدخل undeclared، طبعا يعني ما بتبقاش قادر تستحمل إنه حاجة زي كده يعني تحصل لولادك. ولكن أنت دخلت undeclared.
طبعا دخلت undeclared، وانا هقول لك انا فعلا ملاحظ ان the Arab culture and Egyptian culture in particular حكايه undeclared ديت عامله عقده كتير.
عامله عقده بالظبط.
لكن انا يعني احب advise الناس ان it is quite okay ان الشاب او الشابه اللي هتبتدي الكوليدج education to be undeclared for the first couple of years لحد ما فعلا they begin to really determine what motivates them, what inspires them. It's not a problem whatsoever. To me, the greatest thing about a university is it creates a different way of thinking. You look at issues from different perspectives and you appreciate different angles. سوري الكلام الانجليزي.
لا مفيش مشكله احنا يعني
by being able to see issues from different angles and appreciate the fact that there are multiple dimensions to any one issue. It allows you to become a lot more open-minded, and in the process I think you are much more able to reach a conclusion that is more suitable to the community at large.
بس هل والدك ووالدتك كانوا اوكي بالفكره دي؟ يعني اجان زي ما بتقول الكالتشر المصري is very strong في فكره انه لا لازم تعرف. بالعكس انا ساعات بقول احنا هنا we're very lucky لان انت في مصر انت you're stuck، دخلت بقى طب هندسه تجاره حقوق خلاص you're basically stuck. هنا فكره الاندكليرد بتديك يعني فرصه من وانت يعني شاب او شابه زي ما بتقول صغير جدا ان انت تكسبلور different options وبعد كده تقرر عايز تروح ايه. فوالدك ووالدتك how did they react to something
أنا الحمد لله الوالد والوالدة الله يرحمهم بقى دلوقتي they were very supportive without pushing. They never pushed or insisted on you follow this direction or you follow that direction. Rather, what they did is they focused on installing values. إيه الصح وإيه الغلط, how to behave, how to respect your elders and so on. All of the what we'll call, let's say, the proper values. Okay, those were installed in us. Like when it came to life choices, you know, what to study, what career to pursue, and how to pursue it, and so on, they were quite encouraging and supportive, but they never forced an opinion, which I think was really a very smart thing for them to do.
طبعا بالذات ان انت خلاص بقيت امريكاني وشايف انه الدنيا مختلفه هنا و different culture. فيعني لو انا بسالك سؤال يعني ما سالتوش لحد قبل كده، بس باباك في كلمه ومامتك في كلمه، تقدر تقول لي عليهم ايه؟
هقول لك بابا كان academic pursuits. His focus was let's make sure that you complete your education and you appreciate the value of education, and that will open doors for you. So he encouraged his children to pursue that. Mama, Allah yarhamha, her focus was the values that we spoke of, how to be a polite young man, how to be kind to your fellow man, how to respect your elders and your neighbors, وطبعا religion. She insisted on her children knowing what the Islamic values are and when to prepare for prayers and to conduct your prayers وفي رمضان الصيام وهكذا. The two combination بين بابا وماما الحمد لله I think it was a good successful combination that ultimately led to success.
بس برضو مع كل دوت انت بقى لما طلعت على الدنيا وابتديت بقى تجت involved في University of Hawaii بعد كده ميسيسيبي ومنها طبعا للماسترز والبي اتش دي وكل الدرجات العلميه اللي انت بعد كده عملتها you were quite involved برضو in the interfaith community ودي حاجه انا وانت we agree upon وحسينا انها something يعني we hold in common even though we come from different generations وبرضو فكرة ان انا I grew up in Egypt we grew up here you had such a great and strong interest to interfaith conversations من such a young age فاحكي لي عن الحتة دي في حياتك.
علشان in my mind احنا اتكلمنا كتير على diversity. I really am convinced that diversity is a greatest force to better our life altogether. A diverse community with multiple points of views and multiple cultures melting together will always achieve a greater value for the community at large. And that diversity is not just from a social perspective or academic perspective, but religion as well. فيعني احنا الحمد لله في الجامعة بتاع Mission View we're always involved مع interfaith organizations and preparing meals for the homeless and when we do this it's always a community effort ما بين الجامع والكنيسة والمعبد اليهودي. So all three religions and institutions come together to do things that are better for the community at large.
هل بتشوف ده كمان لأنه ناس كتير قوي بتإجنور فكرة الريليجن حتى كنت بقرأ أرتكل من كام يوم على لينكدين إنه religion is also part of DEI أو diversity, equity and inclusion work وحاسة إن ده ساعدك قوي لأنه your background كمصري with that kind of global perspective وكمان your involvement in interfaith made you the global consultant you are in now. طبعا يعني your education journey دي حاجة لكن فكرة إن أنت مسكت السترينث بتاعك كمصري أو Egyptian American with your education background لأن أنت بعد كده تخصصت في political science والeconomics made you بقى the global. يعني أنا حتى دايما بقول لأولادي أنت فكرة أن أنت Egyptian American وبتعرف تتكلم وتقرأ وتتعامل بالعربي دي very good يعني it's a strength بعد كده في الشغل وتقريبا أنت طبقته دوت يعني أنت مثل حي اللي احنا كلنا بنقوله لأولادنا تقريبا on a daily basis.
لا طبعا شوفي being bilingual or speaking multiple language that without a doubt is a great asset. واخد بالك وطبعا انت زي ما انت شايفه ان دلوقتي الدنيا is much closer together. البلاد قريبه من بعض والافكار دايما بتبقى قريبه من بعض. ف having that multiple touch bases with multiple languages and the ability to appreciate and work with different cultures is a great asset. It helped me a lot in my career and at the same time my career itself being global يعني لما ابتديت اشتغل في TWA زي الوالد واخد بالك ودي قصة تانية ممكن نحكيها in few minutes لكن it allowed me to travel a lot. وبعد TWA اشتغلت في Rockwell International being able to bring in these ideas from the different cultures was quite helpful for sure. وبعد Rockwell International اشتغلت مع شركة SAP ومع IBM ومع Capgemini في الثلاث شركات دهيت my work was literally global in every continent تقريبا.
احنا كنا بنتكلم كنت في اسلام اباد في باكستان صح من
دي حاليا اسلام اباد دي جت بعد حتى الكاب جيميناي لكن during ال SAP و IBM وكاب جيميناي my role as a senior consultant or an associate partner or a partner مع Capgemini my clients were in every continent. وكان ساعات مثلا في خلال أسبوع واحد توصل تلاقيني بشتغل في أستراليا وبعدين في أوروبا وبعدين في الميدل إيست. فكان lots of different travels. لكن الفكرة إن لما كنت بسافر to my clients وطبعا بشتغل مع ناس من different cultures و different countries و different languages و ideas and so on. لاحظت ان فعلا when we combine all these diverse ideas we ultimately always achieved better and higher goals. واخد بالك؟ ف diversity became an integral part of me, of my personality.
انت دايما بتقولي عندك الاثنين، يعني you're pushed between. عايزاك دايما حتى بتعملها لي كده ان انت you have the Egyptian in you and the American in you that made who you are. حتى as not just as a يعني Dave the human being بس as the business partner, as a dad.
It is a very important point. The duality of culture. الدواليتي اوف كلتشر اللي اتنشأت فيا، لان زي ما احنا قلنا انا جيت هنا عندي 12 سنه. of course the roots, the Egyptian roots and the values are embedded in me, and at the same time the American values, the American experience that I treasure and I grew up with is also embedded in me. There's always, because of the duality of this culture, there is the pull of the two cultures. Okay. But to me, ده مش صراع. يعني some people will look at it as a صراع. The two cultures are conflicting with each other. I don't think so. I think actually if you are able to take the best of both cultures and combine it into a value system that allows you to successfully charter your course of life, whether it's in the social events or the academic pursuits or in a work career, you'll always richer by being able to combine the values of the two cultures.
بس ليه ديف، والسؤال ده ممكن يكون يعني صعب شوية، بس ليه ديف ما جالوش identity crisis زي ما كل الولاد اللي بيجوا وساعات بنشوفهم في ولادنا والشباب اللي موجود دلوقتي؟
شوفي، هو فعلا that is quite possible. وأنا فعلا قابلت ناس كتيرة who unfortunately for lack of better term, الصراع ما بين the two cultures did create a conflict, and some people cannot resolve these conflicts and end up actually chartering the wrong course of life. To me, what you have to do is be very focused on what is it that you want to achieve in life. What are your goals? Set achievable goals with a stretch. Don't just set minor goals that are easy to achieve and be satisfied with that. Always give yourself a stretch to reach a little higher.
بس أكيد برضو أهلك عملوا حاجة، يعني أكيد برضو الأب والأم في البيت اللي هو يعني أجن لسه جايين من كولتشر مصري وولادهم جايين هنا، إيه السر؟ إيه سر الخلطة اللي يعني
هو طبعا like we said, they encouraged a lot. Okay, they encouraged us to be independent thinkers, while at the same time embedding the proper values. Now, the proper values doesn't mean it's only the Egyptian or only the American, but it is truly the combination of the two. Proper values are universal. Okay, to love your fellow human, to be kind, to be polite, to care for your neighbor, to do unto others as you wish others to do unto you, and so on. These are universal values. And الوالد والوالدة الله يرحمهم, they embedded that kind of thinking in all four of us growing up. And encouraged us then to be self-reliant and to be independent and to go out and pursue the careers and the goals that we want. Baba Allah yarhamu was actually a big proponent of setting goals. Okay, Diamond, set yourself a goal, achievable goals. So what is your 1-year goal? What is your 5-year goal? And pursue it. نرجع لفكرة إن في ناس unfortunately fall victim to the clash of cultures.
بالزبط.
Those unfortunately who are not focused enough to what is it that they want to achieve in life become a prey. Okay, and unfortunately there are forces that can easily overtake the objectives that you set yourself or that the parents would like to see their children achieve. والحاجة التانية برضو اللي لاحظتها lots of times الimmigrants اللي بيجوا من Arab culture and the Egyptian cultures as well, of course, طبعا. And all of a sudden find themselves facing a tremendous amount of freedom in the West that they did not experience. الحرية is a beautiful value that we have in the United States and in the West in particular, يعني, but in the United States specifically. But that freedom of choice can also be a double-edged sword if you don't know how to use it properly. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that have come and found all of a sudden they have this tremendous freedom to do as they will. They use it the wrong way and they end up going down the wrong path.
بس والدتك برضو ووالدك طبعا despite the fact ان هم عاشوا في امريكا فترة طويلة ويعني they were trying to grow up this يعني proper Egyptian American يعني young man، برضو كانت مامتك فيها حتة انا عايزة اجوزك.
أنا عايزة
أجوزك، كانت عايزة تجوزك برضو at such a young age، فعلى 23 سنة وأنا يعني شاكرة جدا ليك إن أنت سمحت لي إن إحنا نتكلم على التجربة دي، لأن أنت كان عندك تجربتين جواز الحالية مع طبعا your beautiful wife ووايدة هنتكلم عليها later، بس حابين نتكلم على تجربة الجواز الأولانية والادفايسز اللي أنت تديها للناس، مش بس عشان يعني أنا عارفة أنت you honor and cherish both marriages يعني both التجربتين، ولكن كلمني على الفكرة دي وكلمني حصلت ازاي وايه الأخطاء اللي ممكن أي حد بعد كده يأفويد حاجة زي كده.
Sure. شوفي when I decided إن عايز أتجوز فكرت كتير يعني إيه اللي هو ممكن يبقى أسهل طريقة إن الواحد يعيش في حياة سعيدة فيها أو حياة مريحة ممكن نقول. فلقيت ان if you marry someone with the same religion and culture and social
مستوى اجتماعي
events المستوى اللي انت عشت عليه it becomes easier to have that home life. فمن النقطة ديت قررت اني هتجوز من مصر. اوكي. بابا ماما never pushed الصراحة أتجوز مين أو أروح فين أو أشوف مين وهكذا، لكن they welcomed the idea إن أوكي عايز تتجوز من مصر go ahead and let's hope that we find a good wife and so on. الحمد لله أول جوازة ربنا رزقني جوزت نعيمة وخلفت منها سارة وأمير أو هي خلفت سارة وأمير والحمد لله it was a good life, it was a good successful life, but the reality is اتجوزنا بدري. okay. كان عندي 22 سنة لما اتجوزنا و I don't think إن في السن ده هو الواحد بيبقى fully mature yet واخد بالي، وفي نفس الوقت طبعا at that age there's a lot of financial pressures that are added to a family life. You're not quite as financially stable at 22 as you are later on in your life. So there was a lot of pressures and the reality is we simply grew apart.
وبرضه مش فكرة الكولتشر المختلفة، يعني فكرة انه انت you grew up here والشخص التاني grew up in مصر، يعني ده مش معناه ان احنا ضد دوت، بس دي حاجة برضه for people to keep in consideration.
It absolutely added a bit of pressure on the marriage. At the end of the day, in the first few years of the marriage, it became very clear, and yes, there is a certain amount of difference between the Egyptian way of life and the American way of life that I grew up in. All of my schooling has been in the United States. So even though I had the two cultures within me, there were certain ideas, thoughts that are different between the two cultures. But nonetheless, the point that is important to keep in mind and what I would advise people to think of is that if a marriage, for whatever reason, becomes unattainable, that it's uncomfortable for both parties to pursue the marriage, it is okay to divorce, but to make sure انك الواحد يسيبوا بعض بالمعروف as we say. فكرة الكره والبليم ديس وهو قال وهي قالت وده عمل ودي عملت، كل ده لا بيجيب نتيجة ولا بيحل مشاكل.
مع انه انت قلت لي حاجة يعني very private، انه ده كان اول طلاق في الفاميلي وهز العيلة زي earthquake يعني.
absolutely الصراحة لما لقيت ان فعلا مش مستريحين مع بعض، مفيش a certain amount of سعادة في البيت. It was not fair for the children to also grow up in a less than happy household. وصلنا للقرار ان احنا هنتطلق. ولما طبعا قلت للوالد والماما ان هنتطلق, this was a major earthquake. It was the first divorce in the Marzouk family.
طبعا.
واخد بالك. It caused a tremendous amount of concern in the United States and in Egypt.
طبعا.
Okay. بس الحمد لله يعني لما الناس لقوا ان فعلا احنا الاثنين are committed to make sure and الأولاد are doing well and that each other are doing well. I was never going to walk away من نعيمة or abandon نعيمة or walk away from Sarah and Amir. No, I was committed to making sure that to the best of my ability I can provide to the family.
لأنك قعدت حتى بعدها 13 سنة يعني without marriage تقريبا.
حوالي 11-12 سنة.
وكان كل الكوميتمنت بتاعك هو الولاد. أهم حاجة صحتهم النفسية، إن أنت تبقى involved معاهم every weekend. أنت قلت لي soccer games.
هم الثلاثة مش الولاد بس.
طبعا
يعني أنا قبل ما أعمل أي حاجة تاني كنت مصمم إني أتأكد إن نعيمة has a good life, a good foundation and is able to stand on her own 2 feet. وإن الأولاد طبعا are comfortable and secure and have that resilient lifestyle within them. Alhamdulillah, I really appreciate that Naima was also committed to make sure and the Lulad grow up very confident in themselves with the proper values. And we both shared that common goal. أهم حاجة الراحة للأولاد and to create the most peaceful, beautiful life we can.
بس ازاي قدرت بقى؟ طبعا يعني كلنا بنسمع عن قصص طلاق يعني on a daily basis. كلنا تقريبا in our circles في حد قريب مننا is going through this. ودي حاجة أنا مهتمة أتكلم بيها لأنه عندي أصدقاء قريبين بيمروا بده، وحابة إن احنا نتعلم من الناس اللي كان في حياتها divorce بس تخطوه والحمد لله we're able to raise successful kids. ازاي برضو قدرت تتخطى نظرات الناس او كلام الناس زيه انت سلفش مثلا؟ ودي حاجه بتتقال لناس كتير جدا لما بيمروا بالتجربه دي.
هو شوفي unfortunately ما فيش حاجه اسمها a happy divorce. There is no happy divorce, okay? But you have to be committed to making sure that if you're going to leave one another, after you really give all you can to make the marriage work. If it's not working, leave each other to create that peaceful and harmony lifestyle that you wish for the family to have. But make sure that you're committed to ensuring that the family, all members of the family, are properly cared for, both economically, socially, physically, and so on. And you create as happy a home as possible. Okay. And once people around you, family and friends, realize that, you're both committed to the same thing, then that hostility and the earthquake that we were talking about settles down.
كل حاجة بتبتدي كبيرة قوي في الأول وبعدين يعني بتموت بعد كده يعني. ودليل أنا حاجة أنت قلتها لي قبل التصوير إنه marriage is a beautiful thing. ناس كتيرة قوي قوي أصلا للأسف الشديد تلاقيهم بيتريقوا ويهزروا يا عم ما تتجوزش لا مش عارف إيه، لكن أنت you are actually committed to this institution of marriage. بالدليل إن أنت لما حسيت إن الولاد كبروا شوية وبعدين قابلت هويدا عن طريق يعني a common friend, you were committed. وما شاء الله أنتوا دلوقتي you've been married for 20 years و you created this beautiful blend blended family additionally آدم وياسمين ربنا يخليهم لك. احكي لي على هويدا واحكي لي على تجربتك التانية، لأنه طبعا الواحد لما بياخد تجربة تانية أكيد جاي لها from a different perspective.
Yeah. I am convinced that the institution of marriage is probably the most comforting institution that exists. Okay, there's no substitute for it. After I was assured that Sarah and Amir had grown and are stable in their life, and that Naima is also stable and ready to stand on her own 2 feet, ultimately, my cousin actually said after 12 years or so that it's time for you to be remarried again. And my cousin actually introduced me to her manager, Huwaida. Okay, they were working for a company in Egypt, Orascom. So my cousin introduced me to Huwaida. She called me up and she said, I have somebody that I think you ought to meet and would be interested in meeting. فقعدنا انا وهويدا نتكلم في التليفون وجوابات وما اعرفش ايه حوالي سنه، واخد بالك، وده طبعا قبل بقى الفيس تايم all of the facilities that we have now، فكانت كان مشوار يعني.
انت عارف انه تقريبا نفس الوقت اللي انت بتتعرف فيه على هويدا كنت انا بتعرف فيه على جوزي، لان احنا تقريبا كاتب كتابنا كان نفس اليوم، انت بتقول جولاي
بالظبط، في جولاي
2002، وده نفس الوقت. احنا برضو كنا وقتها بنتكلم عن طريق الانترنت لانه كان هنا في امريكا، وجوابات وايميلز، وهو نصيب.
طبعا اسمه نصيب، there's no question about it. المهم بعد ما قعدنا نتكلم مع بعض حوالي سنه تقريبا، قررنا اوكي اتس تايم ان احنا نقابل بعض، وقررنا ان احنا نقابل بعض في حته نيوترال علشان نبقى لوحدينا ونشوف how do we really get along. فاتقابلنا في بورتوغال، في البرتغال،
في اوروبا يعني.
في اوروبا. It was a beautiful vacation. We had a good time, and at that time we decided it's time to introduce the families لبعض. فالحمد لله يعني اسمه نصيب زي ما بنقول. The families got to know each other and we decided to get married. We had a beautiful wedding in Mile Hilton.
Nice. في مصر. بس جيتوا هنا and then you created this blended family، وفي صورة دلوقتي هنعرضها يعني لسه كانت حتى يمكن الأسبوع اللي فات في Thanksgiving that you hosted للأربع ولاد مع بعض.
بالزبط.
ما شاء الله ربنا يعني يخليهم لك. إيه السر إنه الأربع ولاد دول مع بعض دلوقتي اخوات؟ وبتقولي بنتك الكبيره ساره she's a lawyer ما شاء الله عليها، هي يعني she's the mother figure بالنسبه للثلاث للاربع اخوات. فاحكي لي how were you able to balance this؟
شوفي الحمد لله I'm very very grateful وربنا رزقني بآدم وياسمين من هويدا، والحمد لله الاربعه are very close to each other. واخد بالك، طبعا في فرق كبير في السن، فسارة تقريبا is the mother figure للثلاثة التانيين. She's a very caring person and she's alhamdulillah a successful lawyer. Amir is also a lawyer في Washington DC, doing very well. والأربعة really love each other. This was a great gift من ربنا الحمد لله. واخد بالك. Part of that is simply because I installed again the proper values in all four of them. Family is a core value that is very important to me, and I made sure and al-Arba'a stand together as a very strong family unit. This was alhamdulillah a successful experiment. The four of them are getting along very well. Adam is about to graduate from high school السنة دي إن شاء الله. فإحنا دلوقتي مشغولين في
applications
exactly الapplication.
كلمني عن لأنه أمير يعني is a generation وآدم is a generation. وحتى أنا وأنت كنا بنتكلم إنه آدم يعني عنده شعر طويل زي أولادنا كلهم و different generations. فأنت ربيت two different generations برضو الاثنين في أمريكا. بالزبط. إيه نصيحتك للناس اللي عندها teenagers؟
Encourage your children, support them, love them, make sure they understand that yes, you're there, you got their back, and discipline them. Okay.
ازاي ندiscipline بقى ده؟
Okay, so that is an interesting question because I definitely am witnessing a difference in the approach that I had with Sarah and Amir when they were growing up versus what Adam and Yasmin are facing now. And I think mainly the social media. Today, the children have so much information at the tip of their finger. Right? It's a great value. The internet is a great tool, but it can also be a double-edged sword, as we said, right? So sometimes I am a little concerned about what they may be exposed to. Because you cannot obviously watch what they're doing 24/7.
حتى كنا بنقول من كام يوم انه مش هتقدر تاخد منه التليفون.
بالظبط. So my idea is simply make sure from a very young age they know what's right and wrong.
بس ديف التأثير السوسايتي بره صعب جدا. Let's be honest. يعني احنا ممكن نقول كل يوم وكل دقيقة بس السوسايتي أقوى مننا كلنا والسوشيال ميديا أقوى مننا كلنا.
Absolutely. شوفي that's very true and peer pressure is a tremendous force خصوصا في الهاي سكول.
بالظبط.
Unfortunately, I think the peer pressure on the girls is much more severe than it is on the boys. Okay, so my advice to the parents is to certainly pay attention to what the children are going through. But I think the way we combat the negative forces that they are exposed to is to make sure that they know that you got their back, that you're behind them, you're supportive of them, you're there to protect them, and you love them. They will always pretend that they know more than you.
طبعا.
Everybody, عندي ياسمين, she's now 15 years old going on 25.
طبعا.
Okay.
أنا عندي هانيا 12 going on 30 فيعني.
But she knows very well how much we love her, her brother, myself, and her siblings. Same with all of my children. They know very well how much we love them and how much support we are there for them. We give them. That, I think, is the best that parents can do to make sure that they encourage their children to grow, to be responsible.
يعني.
But to guide them. يعني guide but don't force. Don't force them one way or the other.
Which is a fine balance برضو. احنا بنتكلم في يوتوبيا قوي انه يعني يا ريتنا كلنا نقدر نعمل ده.
Absolutely. طبعا.
يا ريتنا كلنا نقدر نعمل دوت بس وزي ما انت بتقول unconditional love اعتقد يعني دي حاجة مهمة قوي كلنا نقدر نديها لأولادنا.
Unconditional love, يعني that's a very natural thing for parents to have for their children, the unconditional love. And they know that, yes, of course, there's unconditional love. I see the picture that we just had a minute ago. This was my family in Egypt. So one of the things that's installed in me as part of my value is the great appreciation and love of the extended family.
حتى الكازنز في مصر
cousins, uncles, aunts, and of course الله يرحمهم دلوقتي, but the grandparents. All of these are values that have been installed in me as a child, and I'm transferring these concepts, these ideas onto my children.
بتقلق ساعات كتير قوي كلنا كإيجيبشن أمريكانز والناس اللي بتيجي بتهاجر هنا بتقلق على بقى الإكستندد فاميلي جنريشن بقى second وثيرد وفورث. where is the مرزوق family going؟ بتقلق بتفكر العيلة دي هيبقى شكلها إيه 3-4 generations من دلوقتي؟
Yes, of course. Yeah, you always think about what will the next generation be like, and the generation after, what will it be like? But my advice is focus on the things you can control and dream of the things that you want to achieve, but you may not have control over it. Okay? So focus on what you can control. Create yourself the goals and the objectives that are achievable, as we said earlier, with a proper stretch. Spend the energy in achieving those goals, and when you get there, set the next level of goals and keep going. We talked earlier about starting college as an undeclared major. Okay. Initially, I had entered my college career in a pre-med. Okay. I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. And for various reasons, economic and otherwise, that simply didn't happen. Of course, once in a while I sit back and I think, what would it have been like had I continued down that path and became a doctor.
ففانتزي كده كانت الحياة هيبقى شكلها إيه لو ديف مرزوق كان دكتور
بالضبط.
طبيب.
لكن you don't dwell on the past. يعني الحمد لله I'm very happy with what I have been able to achieve so far. In fact, another story that I probably should let you know. After I graduated in University of Missouri undergraduate school, I was promoted a very high jump within TWA from basically a part-time reservation agent to a senior manager role. In fact, I became one grade higher than my father. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And that was an interesting combination.
Yeah.
In fact,
يعني were you his, يعني أنت كنت السوبرفايزر بتاعه؟
I was not directly in his department, but here's another interesting situation. His friends that saw us grow up as children, when I became director in the fuel management department after the promotion I was talking about, had to submit the reports to me so that I could determine how much of the fuel we ought to distribute to the various stations based on the number of flights and seat occupancy and many different factors. So anyway, the people who saw me grow up as a child that suddenly had to report to me found that a little bit of a challenge to do.
كانت صعبة عليهم ولا كانوا يعني؟
كان صعب عليهم. It was very interesting for my father, الله يرحمه. He was so proud.
طبعا.
But at the same time, he was so reserved to make sure that his friends are also comfortable in the situation. But at any rate, I started that position in Kansas City, but in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, there was a fuel crisis in the United States. So the CEO of the TWA decided he wants to move my department to immediately below his office in New York, in the headquarters, 6th Avenue. 605 3rd Avenue. I moved to New York. قعدت في New York about a year. That was a very interesting time. But during that time, UCLA offered me a fellowship to come and pursue my PhD at UCLA. And there was a professor, Malcolm Kerr, whom I've been studying a lot of his writing, and I was very appreciative of his writing and thinking. When it became clear that he was going to be my academic advisor, I jumped at the opportunity and left TWA and moved to California.
وفكرة إنه أنت بتقول يعني أنت بس you just كده إيه fantasize إنه what would have been your life لو كنت بقيت دكتور، ولكن في نفس الوقت فكرة إن الواحد يبقى مبسوط برضه باللي you achieved. يعني it's okay to ask that question، بس في نفس الوقت فكرة الرضا اللي اتكلمنا عليها، فكرة ان انت تبقى مبسوط باللي انت وصلت له، لانه كمان ربنا فتح عليك ابواب تانية انت ما كنتش متخيلها، زي البي اتش دي، زي شغلك الجلوبال. لكن برضو في وسط بقى الشغل الجلوبال وفي وسط كل دوت في هوايده وفي السفر وفي حاجه لسه انت قلتها لي بقى قبل التصوير ان انت بتحب الطبيخ يعني.
Of course, yeah, that's my hobby.
Yeah, you worked as an assistant chef for a while يعني وانت في الجامعه.
Right.
فاحكي لي عن عايزه ابتدي الاول بهويده وعلاقتك بيها ان هو از شي، وطبعا انا عارفه انتوا الاثنين بتحبوا السفر، مفيش حد فينا يمكن مفيش ضيف جالنا هنا ما قالش ان هو بيحب السفر. فكلمني شويه.
هويده is the love of my life. She has a huge heart, a beautiful personality. She had a very, very good position in Egypt that she left to come to the United States. And we got married about 20 years ago now. When she first came to America, of course, the first couple of years for any immigrant is somewhat difficult. You're homesick with أهل والأصدقاء, you know, you move away from them. So it's a little difficult the first couple of years. But alhamdulillah, now she is very well accustomed to her way of life in the United States. And after the children grew and she wanted to go back to work, she's now working in a logistics functionality, and she's very happy with it. So she's self-fulfilled as well.
Nice.
Rida, we were talking about Rida. Yeah, this is very important. Alhamdulillah, I've reached a stage in my life where I'm very comfortable with what I've accomplished and achieved. So I think back about what could have been and what life could have been like and what have you, but I never look back and regret anything. Okay. To me, as long as you are learning something every day in your life, you learn something new every day in your life.
يعني ازاي? What are your sources؟ يعني كتب، podcasts، أفلام؟
There's so many different sources of learnings that a human can achieve. Reading, I read a lot. Life experience.
ممكن نقف عند reading لأن أنت من الواحد، أنت عارف أنا librarian فمهتمة بموضوع الريدنج، بس أنت قلت لي you read textbooks which is very interesting.
I enjoy reading textbooks. I enjoy reading history and political and comparative politics and what have you.
Biographies كمان صح؟
Right. I don't read as much fiction as others may enjoy. But the point being is that as long as you continue to learn and you keep your mind open and occupied with every day, you have to do something that enriches your life. Then you'll never have regrets. Okay. Well, alhamdulillah, I was able to reach that stage in life. At this point in my life, I'm comfortable with what I've achieved. I'm very happy with the family I got, alhamdulillah. Of course, part of this is hard work, dedication, pursuit of goals, and luck. Luck certainly does play a role in
بس
what we achieve.
luck meets a prepared person. دايما بقول كده، يعني ممكن تكون محظوظ بس يعني والحظ موجود قدامك والباب مفتوح قدامك بس انت you're not ready.
Exactly.
And you're not ready to work hard sometimes.
Exactly. If you don't work hard and you pursue your goals, look, for immigrants in particular and first generation in particular, there are obstacles. Okay, and we have to overcome these obstacles to succeed. If you succumb to the obstacles, if you give up, you're not going to be a happy individual. And unfortunately, I did see a lot of immigrants that came here thinking, okay, I'm in America, the land of milk and honey, so why isn't everything handed to me on a silver platter?
فكرة الأمريكان دريم دي هي فين حصلت ازاي بس عشان تحصل.
The American dream is very real, but it takes hard work and dedication to achieve it. And that's my advice to people who are coming in, as well as people who are born and raised in the United States. Work hard, focus on what you want to achieve, and pursue your goals.
بس انت كمان بتwork hard وبتplay hard. انا عارفه انت بتحب تتفسح. وانت وهويدا بتحبوا السفر، بس انتوا فكرتكم في السفر مختلفه شويه. انت عاوز تروح هواي تقعد على البيتش، وهي عايزه تروح المول وتعمل شوبينج زي طبعا اي ست. فكلمني ازاي بتعملوا الكومبرومايز ده؟
So we trade off one trip here, one trip there. To me, my way of travel, what I enjoy most is either the arts, the museums, or the concerts, the classical concerts. And I made a point of taking all of the children to Vienna and to Austria, several cities in Austria. And we attended places where Mozart was born, where Beethoven lived. I took them to the concerts. I took them to the major museums and introduced them to the arts and the culture of Europe. At the same time, I took them all to Egypt, Al-Aqsa wa Aswan, so that they can see the roots where we came from, والحياة في مصر شكلها إيه. So my focus in travel is arts and culture, and of course the beach. The Hawaiian experience, as we mentioned, is already embedded in my personality, so nothing is more pleasant than a nice, quiet, peaceful day on the beach with the beautiful sunset.
كل الرجاله كده ديف متهيألي اي تسأل اي راجل تقول له what is your favorite vacation يقول لك البيتش. يعني that's my husband's favorite vacation, just the
Now,
beach.
Huwaida has a different point of view. Huwaida enjoys the city life. She likes seeing the metropolitan areas. She enjoyed Paris. She enjoys New York. So she wants the hustle and bustle of the cities. So we try to mix things up. You know, one year we go here, and the other year we go a different type of
بس
vacation.
ايه المصري اللي في ديفيد يعني او في ديف؟ يعني ايه المصري اللي جواك؟
المصري اللي فيا أم كلثوم وعبد الحليم والكشري وورق العنب ومحشي الكرنب والملوخية. All of the things that I grew up with are still very much embedded and alive in my mind and in my heart. Egypt will always have a huge part of my heart. It is part of who I am. At the same time, I've also managed to assimilate thoroughly in the U.S. culture, and growing up with the U.S. values and the appreciation for the American experience is quite vivid in my heart and mind as well. So the balancing act, or the combination of the two, and finding the best of both cultures is what creates a point of happiness. I see that you have a picture of Ramadan in the USA. We obviously enjoy celebrating
بس في نفس الوقت كمان احنا we're getting ready. يعني كان عندك الاسبوع اللي فات كان عندك اخواتك كلهم from different states. ربنا يخليكم لبعض. انا عارف
Thank you.
You maintain a very strong relationship مع انتوا الاربع اخوات، وهنتكلم عليهم كمان دقيقة. بس زي ما انت كمان بتسليبريت رمضان والايجيبشن holidays، انت كمان you're getting ready for Christmas.
Absolutely.
وعندك Christmas tree، كان عندك celebration قوية جدا في Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
ايه يعني again في ناس كده تيجي هنا تقول لك لا انا خايف، انا مش عايز، لا احنا بس خلينا مصريين، احنا خايفين على الولاد.
No, you find the best in life when you find the beauty in everything that you experience. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite birthdays.
We just celebrated Thanksgiving, and I had all of my brothers. Unfortunately, Sam أخويا اللي في شيكاغو ما قدرش يجي عشان كان مشغول، بس محمد وطام وأولادهم كلهم جم. We had a beautiful get together. Alhamdulillah. I, of course, was the cook. I was the chef for the event. But it was a blessing. It was beautiful. What made it beautiful is the celebration and having all of the family together. So we talked about the fact that I have great appreciation for the extended family. I want to install the same values in all of the new generations as they grow up. So.
كلمني عن علاقتك بإخواتك. يعني انتوا ما شاء الله الأربعة، و I'm sure everybody's equally successful
الحمد لله.
in their own يعني areas. بس ازاي بتقدروا تلموا بعض، وازاي بتقدروا تمينتين الريليشنشيب، لأنه كل واحد فيكم متهيألي في different area. يمكن الأقرب ليك في فريزنو.
بالضبط. محمد في فريزنو، سام في شيكاغو، وطام في بوسطن. بس شوفي، there is not a day, there's not a single day that goes by when we either don't talk to each other on the phone, or send each other text messages, or compete with each other based on what football team we're supporting, American football, or of course with the World Cup going on, soccer now. Congratulations to the U.S. today. We had a great victory today. We're moving on to the next level, so that was wonderful. So yeah, the relationship between الإخوات very strong, and I attribute that to particularly my mother, who insisted on making sure that the brothers stand together as one unit and support one another. And I contribute, or I attribute rather, the success of the four brothers a lot to what my father had installed in us. Again, to work hard and to keep focus on achieving your goals, and to always reach higher. Okay. So alhamdulillah, all of us, as you mentioned, are quite successful. Sam was a vice president and actually became president when he retired, president of a mortgage lending company, and now he's doing a lot of trade, stocks and what have you, and he's doing very well. Tom was a general manager of Delta Airlines, different stations at different states with Delta Airlines, and Mohammed is a finance manager with a major company in Fresno. Is actually contributing to building the high-speed railway in California. So
that's amazing.
He's doing very well there as well. حاليا, she asked me about Pakistan. After I retired from Capgemini, I tried to retire, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't, ما اقدرش مش شايفاك ممكن
I couldn't take it. I
صعب.
could not take it.
صعب.
I tried it for about 2 or 3 months, and I was climbing the walls. And I found myself getting involved in meaningless things like, how come there's so much salt in this dish?
Oh, okay.
How come this glass is not put in
لا
its
يرجع
proper
شغل أحسن
place?
بقى.
So
Yeah.
decided, no, I got to go back to work. So,
يعني لسه في راجل مصري جواك كده.
of course.
Okay, good. ده شيء يطمني.
So I ended up creating my own company, Marzouk Consulting. And some of my ex-clients that I served in different roles reached out to me to help them decide where to invest their money. They wanted to invest. And so I did an engagement with them and did a lot of analysis. And ultimately, I determined that renewable energy was one of the fastest growing fields. So I submitted that to them, and then they asked me from a geographical perspective, where should they invest? And I did a follow-up study and determined there were really 2 locations that were growing very, very rapidly in renewable energy. One was Egypt, and the other was Pakistan. Both were investing a lot of money in renewable energy and specifically solar energy.
ودي حاجة على فكرة تبسطني جدا، لأنه أنت عارف حتى لو أنت اتكلمنا لما أول مرة اتكلمنا فيها كان وقتها الكوب 27.
Yes.
أنا شخصيا مهتمة بموضوع الكلايمت تشينج يعني بيرسونالي، وكمان عشان جوزي بيشتغل في الموضوع ده ففاهمة فيه قوي ومهتمية بيه، ومبسوطة قوي إنه مصر حتى من خلال الدراسة بتاعتك باين إن هي مهتمة بفكرة renewable and sustainable
Absolutely.
energy.
They're investing a lot and investing very properly, very intelligent investment in creating the alternative energy. They have one of the largest solar fields in the world right now.
Yes.
The investors that I was working with decided to go ahead and start in Pakistan simply because there was different sources of income, foreign income coming in.
بس عندك نية إن أنت تعمل حاجات في مصر مع فكرة الرينيوبل.
It's quite possible, absolutely, yeah. When I submitted the study to the investors, they asked me to put together a business plan for them, which I did, and then they said, okay, it looks interesting, now go run it for me. So I'm now running a company called Global Industry Suppliers in Pakistan. And I'm spending half my life over there, half my time in California, so 2 weeks.
إن شاء الله يعني المشروع الجاي يكون في مصر. وعايزة أختم بسؤالي المعتاد، إيه مصر بالنسبة لك؟ ويعني just in a few words كده, what is Egypt for you?
Masr is part of who I am. Masr is in my heart. Masr is a tremendous force that have been lighting my way, giving me the direction in life. Okay, it gave me the foundation to what is it that I want to be and what I should pursue. And the culture of Egypt is something that is embedded in me that will never go away. بسافر لمصر كتير. قبل كوفيد كنت تقريبا بسافر كل سنة مرة عشان أشوف الأعمام وخالي وهكذا اللي هناك والcousins. And the last trip, of course, after COVID took a number of years before we were able to travel back. But we were just in Egypt last summer, and I saw a tremendous change. Beautiful, beautiful mega projects, infrastructure projects, lots of new resorts. I want to make sure that we also don't end up losing our Egyptian identity in Egypt. And one thing I observed when I got there is that the resorts and the new malls and the beautiful buildings and structures that I've seen, a lot of it are leaning more and more toward the English language. Yeah, some of the malls that I saw, 90% of the signage was in English rather than in Arabic. Even though that is very comfortable for tourists and expats, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be now. شفنا الريزورتس على الساحل الشمالي والريد سي طبعا وجنب القناة and so on. Beautiful resorts. We had a great time. But I want to make sure that Egypt does not lose its Egyptian identity.
Egypt will إن شاء الله always، يعني مصر هتفضل دايما مصر في قلوبنا وفي دمنا زي ما بنقول.
بالظبط.
يعني
طبق الكشري والفول والطعمية ده هي مش ممكن تتمسح من وش الدنيا.
ديف أنا استمتعت جدا بالحديث معاك، وبقولها يمكن كل حلقة، بس فعلا أنا مبسوطة وفخورة يعني بجد. وبقول للناس كلها انه ديف مرزوق او ماجد مرزوق is a model for all of us، يعني to follow. ان شاء الله نشوف ولادنا، وانت كمان تشوف ولادك زيك، وزي ما بنقول دايما واحسن مننا دايما
ان شاء الله. انا سعيد جدا اني اتقابلت معاك النهارده and had this opportunity ان نقعد نتناقش. And congratulations on a very successful show. And وباذن الله نبقى دايما مع بعض ان شاء الله.
باذن الله. ميرسي جدا جدا.
Thank you very much.
ميرسي جدا. ميرسي.